This is the Alibaba Cloud Management Console page. We can expand the menu from top left and search for Machine Learning or simply PAI to get to the PAI console page. Once in the PAI console page, we can find Auto Learning and Computer Vision Model Training. Here we can create image classification, object detection, and OCR solutions. We can also choose which region we want to use the service for. Here I'm going to select Singapore as a demo. Let's create an instance. We will choose Object Detection as a demo. We'll give it a name and description, then click on Create. Now we have an object detection solution created. For this demo, I have prepared some training images. We will build an object detector to recognize this. Let's first upload our training images onto OSS, Alibaba's object storage service. Once the training images are uploaded, we can go back to the Object Detection console page. Click on New Dataset, give it a name, and some meaningful description. Then we can choose the OSS path in which our training images reside. We can double-click on the path to go down the directory until we reach where we have saved our training images. After creating dataset, click on Preview to check whether our images have been loaded correctly. We then click on Labeling Task to bring up the UI in which we can label our target object. We'll first create a label name. We can choose to set different colors in case there are multiple target objects. We then use mouse to draw rectangles around the target region in which we want our object detector to recognize. This is called region of interest. We can draw multiple regions of interest within the same image. We can also adjust an existing region of interest by re-editing its location and position so that it becomes proper. If you already have the label information in Pascal VOC format, such as this, we can also use that in Auto Learning computer vision model training. I already prepared sample images with label data in XML format in my OSS. Let's create a dataset. Add a name and meaningful description, then specify the path to our labeled training images. After we added the new training images, we click on Preview. You notice that Auto Learning has already put a region of interest around the target object using the Pascal VOC labeling information. Let's now train our model. Go to Training Task and create a new task. Name and description, then click on Next. We select the dataset that's been labeled, and we click on Next Step. Here we can choose between the high performance and high precision mode. For this demo, I'm going to choose high precision. We can also do simple configuration for the training task, such as changing epoch number. I recommend leave them as is. Once the training task has been created, we can check the training progress here. Click Refresh to get the latest training status. Depending on your training images and training task, it can take up to several hours to complete the training. Now we have our model training completed. It almost took us 1 hour to finish the task. Let's move on to deploy. Click on Go to PAI Deployment. You will be prompted to create a new deployment resource. Let's create a new resource group. Choose the region in which we want to deploy our model. Agree the terms and conditions, and then activate the service. We now have a running resource group to deploy our model. Wait for a few minutes until the status turns into green. We can see now we have one node to serve a model request. Go back to previous page and confirm to deploy. Here we select the resource group we just created. Make sure the name matches the resource group we just created. We can choose a name for our model service and then configure the computing resources. We have now successfully provisioned the serving model platform. Wait until the model status turns into running. We can click on Invoke Intro to retrieve the model's REST API endpoint and access token, which is necessary for authentication. PAI Auto Learning also provides VPC Invoke and VPC High-Speed Direct Connection. For this demo, I'm going to choose the public endpoint. We can click on Debug to unit test our model serving endpoint. I paste my input JSON, and we can see that our API is responding successfully. However, we notice that there is an error in the input format. This is because we expect to send a base64 encoded images rather than a string. I have written a simple Python class to handle image loading and sending the image to a model endpoint. Let's use this program to test our model. I have submitted a sample image to the model endpoint, and it has successfully detected the DOL. Let's try another example. Again, the model has recognized the DOL within the image. Now let's go back to our PAI model serving endpoint. Here we can click on the logs to look at the log output of a model. This is useful for debug and troubleshooting. We can also click on service monitoring to check the usage and consumption of a model, including QPS, memory consumption, CPU consumption. We can also configure the time range. Going back to the model's detail page, here we can look at our current model serving configurations. We can check the invoke method, including access token and endpoint, and also scale in or scale out our computing resources. This concludes our demo. Thank you.